Ever since I first saw that Confused Matthew had The Golden Compass on his list of movies to review, I was curious as to what point of view he would approach it from, either just as a movie or as someone who was a fan of the book series, his Dark Materials, and was disappointed in it that way. And now my question has been answered, and it turns out Matthew read the first book, Northern Lights, which was rather strangely retitled The Golden Compass when it was released in America, even though the alethiometer, referred to as the Golden Compass in the movie, is not actually referred to as such at any point in any of the three books. That was a mistake the American publishing company made. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Point is, as many reasons as there are to dislike The Golden Compass, the movie, just as a movie, there are plenty more reasons to hate it as a fan of the book series. And so I thought I'd give my little video responses here as kind of adding on to Matthew's review and seeing this movie from the perspective of someone who does like his Dark Materials. And he hasn't covered that much of the movie so far, so I'm not going to have that much to say in this one. But to start off with, I fully agree, Philip Pullman is an asshole, and a hypocritical one at that. But I still like his books. I think it would be nice if if asshole writers were always like Terry Goodkind or Christopher Paolini, where we can just comfort ourselves with the fact that they write crap anyway, so we don't even have to really think about them. But sometimes you get a writer like Philip Pullman or Orson Scott Card, where they're undeniably a complete jerk in real life, and yet they're good writers as well. And so you have to come to some kind of cognitive dissonance, like recovery or whatever you want to call it with that. And I really like his Dark Materials. It's some of the best fantasy stuff that I've read, up there with really Harry Potter and A Song of Ice and Fire. But this movie, not so good. Now, to start off with, the movie starts off with that prologue in which some stuff about dust and the alethiometer and some of the world this takes place in is explained. And we're not supposed to know any of that stuff for quite a while longer, in some cases until near the end of Book 3. Because during the first story, at least, dust is supposed to be this completely mysterious MacGuffin. We only get the very vaguest sense of what it is near the end of Book 1. So it completely robs the story of any sense of mystery right off the bat. And after that, the only real thing that Matthew talks about that I have to address here is Lyra being an asshole, which she definitely is in the movie, and to some extent in the book too. She is undoubtedly a juvenile delinquent in the book, but she still remains likable in a way that in the movie she is not in the beginning. And that is the real key there. We can see that she has a good heart underneath her delinquent exterior, but throughout the course of these three books, she overcomes that and becomes a good person as she grows through this huge journey that she takes. The movie, seeing as we are not likely to get either of the other two parts anytime soon, has to stand on its own now, and it definitely does not. Lyra goes through the beginning of the journey, as Matthew noted, but we're not going to get to see the end of it. And so it's just left hanging that she's just this much of an incredible ass in the beginning of the story. Just as much as Simba and Anakin, I agree with that. Oh, and also the Magisterium thing. One of the things that pisses people, of the fans of the books, off most about the movie is that they were very afraid of any kind of controversy in what was supposed to be the next Lord of the Rings franchise, this huge tentpole fantasy property. Well, we all know how that turned out, but anyway, the Magisterium in the book is very much an ex-bee of the Catholic Church. Now, just to clarify things, I was raised a Roman Catholic, but I don't quite identify as one anymore, but it still is kind of close to me, so let me just say, I have no problem with this anti-Catholic propaganda. We've come in for quite a bit of this lately. The church has a lot of blood on its hands, and I support anyone who wants to call us out on that. like Pullman does very much in this book. And in the end, he doesn't even really come down that hard on God himself, but I'm getting kind of ahead of myself with that one. So, in the book, the Magisterium is pretty much the Catholic Church. In the movie, it's just this very generic totalitarian system, which, as Matthew pointed out, isn't even that authoritative. Much different than it is in the book. So, that's all I have to say so far. If once Matthew gets around to reviewing more of the movie, I'll probably have more to say about that because, believe me, I have plenty more to say about what happens later on in this movie. See you all then.